Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and retro game prices are going up for reasons that aren't so uncommon. Now, I was a bit of a skeptic when I would hear people say how retro game prices are still continuing to rise, especially since we've seen prices in general skyrocket since the 2020 era. And it just felt like a very kind of popular or cliche thing to say that retro game prices were rising. And it almost got to a point where it was like, okay, yes, we know retro game prices have gone up, but we also knew that price increases began to slow down once, things started to return to normal. Somewhere between like 2023 and maybe the beginning of 2024, that was when we started to see things really slow down. And in some cases, we saw retro game prices actually start to go down for certain consoles and for certain games. But we've been in a bit of a seesaw since I want to say 2023 until now, where certain retro games are continuing to slowly go up in price. Some retro games are slowly going down in price. And then you have these like random moments where certain games just kind of skyrocket for what feels like no apparent reason. But a lot of times when you kind of take a deeper look, you realize that the price jump was tied to something, whether it was a movie release, whether it was a new installment into the video game franchise, whether it's because a game gets delisted or removed from all like legal digital platforms, or platforms that aren't, like platforms where you can download ROMs or kind of emulate the game, things like that. So usually it's tied to something like that. And we've seen examples of this. I remember when Wolverine, the Uncaged edition for both the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, saw a massive surge in price once the Deadpool Wolverine movie came out. So that was like a random anomaly where we saw the price for those games jump, and even the Deadpool games spiked something crazy around that time. But those games have since kind of come back down to normal. We also saw it with a game like Piglet's Big Game, on the PlayStation 2. I think somebody kind of drew some type of similarity between that game and like Silent Hill or one of those like survival horror games. And then randomly, like Piglet's Big Game, shot up in price as well. And while it hasn't gone down to its like pre-hype levels, which was probably when it was like a $10 to $12 game, because it's still pricey. A complete in box copy of that game is still like $70, but there was a point where it was going for over $100. So it's kind of like, wow, what's going on here? Um, and we've seen these kind of like random anomalies happen across the board. Well, now we're seeing it happen with Star Fox Assault, which is, in my opinion, a really random one. And I'm not sure if a lot of you like are aware that this is happening. Some of you might be. And if you've gone looking for this game recently, like if this is a game that you might have tried to buy recently, you will realize how drastically the price has jumped for this game. Now, I do feel like it's tied to something, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But for those of you who might remember, Star Fox was like a $30 game. Star Fox hasn't been anything, Star Fox Assault anyway, has not been a very expensive game. In fact, none of the Star Fox games on the GameCube have been very expensive. And for a while, Star Fox Assault and Star Fox Adventure were both $25 to $30 games. Neither of them have been very crazy, up to very recently. And I'm filming this on May 19th, and I haven't checked today, but as of yesterday, Star Fox Assault is still or is still price charted at a $60 game. Now, you were able to find this game very easily for $20 to $30. In a lot of cases, you found this game for even cheaper than that, $10 to $15. Well, now today, Star Fox is going for a complete in box copy of Star Fox Assault is going for $120. And this is something that I thought was very strange because this jump has happened very recently. It's happened, in fact, so recently that I still don't think price charting has caught up to it. Now, I've gone on eBay and I've checked some of the most recent eBay sold listings, and some of the most recent solds on this game, complete in box, are coming out to 125 bucks, which is crazy for this game. But I do think that there is you know, rational reason. Well, not rational, but rational within context, right? So many of you know about the new Star Fox game that has been announced. There is a new Star Fox game coming out. I'm not sure if it's going to release on the Switch as well as the Switch 2, but I did hear something about a new Star Fox game coming out. And we've seen this happen so many times. Now that there is a new installment into the franchise, whenever people see like a new game come out for a long running franchise, there's almost this knee jerk reaction to want to go back and play all of the games that were associated with that franchise. And so we know that there's a Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, there's a Star Fox on the N64. Obviously, we've got Star Fox Assault and Star Fox Adventure on the GameCube. And, so these games are now going to be impacted by the announcement of this new Star Fox entry into the franchise. Now, I don't know if all of the other Star Fox games have seen the same exponential jump in price as we've seen with Star Fox Assault. The last time I checked Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, it's still like a $20 to $25 game. That may have checked. It's been changed rather. It's been a while. I do know that Star Fox 64 has slowly seen a gradual increase in price because I remember when that was like a $5 to $10 game on the N64, and now it's like a $30 game, $30 to $35 game. So Star Fox 64 has seen a jump, and I remember playing that game a bunch back when I had my 64 because for a while that was the only game that I had. So I played that game quite a bit back in the day. When I first got my GameCube back in like the early 2000s, Star Fox Adventure was actually one of the games that I got with it. I never beat it, but I did play it. And so it's a decent game. And I never had Star Fox Assault back in the day. So this was a new one that I recently picked up. I actually just picked up this copy of Star Fox Assault during GameStop's last major promotion where they were offering 30% off when you bought 6 games or more. So I actually wound up getting this game for 30% off of the $29.99 asking price plus my pro member discount. And this copy is actually complete. The disc is actually in great shape and the manual's like really good as well. It's got all the inserts and everything, which is really cool. So I'm actually glad that even though I didn't go looking for this game, I was able to get it for, roughly $22 or so. Because now this is, I guess now it's a $120 game, right? And so it's kind of weird that out of all the different Star Fox games that are out there, this is the one that saw the biggest jump. But the retro gaming market is a little random like that. Like you never really know what's going to light the fuse for a game to just blow up in price, and just pretty much move itself out of reach for anyone who's wanting to experience it. And now for all of those who are excited about the Star Fox game that's coming out, I definitely understand where a lot of people might want to go back and play some of these older Star Fox games in anticipation of the new game coming out. But does it now drive up the price, 5 times what it was, 6 times what it originally was? I don't really know if that's valid. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the price is going to stay the same? Do you think that, Star Fox is up and away? Do you think it'll come back down to its, older asking price of $30, or do you think it's going to be 120 in perpetuity? Let me know what you think about the price change, and I'll catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.